To understand the human condition, one must rise above it. This was the credo of Talbot Grimes, a Scottish chemist whose unrestrained ambition took him to towering heights. As a boy, he was a popular child, bright, charismatic, and unafraid to challenge authority. Yet despite his social graces, he was fiercely independent, spending much of his time exploring the sprawling fields near his town alone. What began as a child's curiosity nearly turned deadly after experimenting with a patch of poisonous foxglove. For days he laid in bed dripping with sweat, purging any food that touched his stomach. When he recovered, it wasn't fear that gripped him, but fascination. There was something magical in how a single flower could so drastically affect him. Into his adult years, his ambition developed as quickly as his questionable methods. He attended the London School of Medicine and excelled despite several reprimands. His willingness to push the limits secured him into a position with the British East India Company, and within 7 years he was made head chemist. In time, he completed one of his greatest achievements, a chemical that could increase a worker's productivity while reducing their need for rest. He was rewarded with a secret laboratory beneath a prison camp on Dyer Island. There, off the coast of India, prisoners from the Opium War became his unwilling subjects, leading to a drug that allowed soldiers to withstand incredible amounts of pain. Though most side effects were minor, there were rumors that a number of soldiers went mad. In feral states, they massacred villages, impaling the populace on bayonets, leaving them hanging from trees. There were no official reports on the subject, and Talbot refused to blame himself for what could only be exaggerated war stories. Though his callous brilliance seemed unflappable, he was ignorant to the enemies his questionable work had amassed. The realization struck him, quite literally, with a steel pipe to the back of his head during a trip to Mangalore. He was bound and loaded into a wagon. When his blindfold was removed, a sickly man showed him a mass grave filled with hundreds of bodies. Unbeknownst to Talbot, his productivity-increasing drug had killed nearly an entire factory's worth of workers. He knew he couldn't defend himself against the anger and accusations of his abductor. All he could do was curl up as the blows from the steel pipe rained down. His body was thrown into the grave and left for dead. Shifting between consciousness and the darkest black, he crawled for an escape, fingers sinking into rotting flesh. Black flies feasted on his uncovered skin, the sensation of 100 pinpricks stabbing into him. As he collapsed, he came face to face with a dead woman's dazzling hazel eyes. Too weak to pull away, he could do nothing but witness his life's work. Then, from the edge of death, he was brought back. He found himself on a small bed as a kindly, wrinkled face looked over him. With each pained breath, he was nursed back to health in an ancient mystery school posing as a monastery. In verdant gardens behind tall, unassuming walls, monks studied forbidden texts, striving to expand the human mind in the search for other dimensions, believing one to be connected to the other. Talbot's knowledge proved indispensable, his mind-altering chemicals integrating seamlessly with the theories of neural expansion. He realized then that his salvation was no coincidence. He was plucked from the pit specifically to advance the school's knowledge. He agreed to help until his recovery was complete, being tasked with researching what the monks called the soul chemical, a compound derived from the pineal gland that could open the mind's eye. What began as a favor to his savior soon became an obsession. Poring over the school's archives of lost texts, he uncovered scientific formulas that confirmed previously unthinkable ideas. He dreamt of ushering humankind into a new period of enlightenment. Perhaps then the nightmares of hundreds of dead factory workers and of those two hazel eyes would fade from his mind. As he came closer to a breakthrough, the demeanor of the monks shifted. The gentle smiles they offered were paired with uneasy eyes that quickly darted away when spotted. The polite conversations he was once privy to turned to hushed murmurs. The last thing he would see of the school was the cracked ceiling above his bed, branching like a dendrite through plaster. His next memories were a shattered mosaic of images and sensations. Smearing lights, horse hooves on cobblestone, coarse burlap scratching at his cheeks, and sharp bites into his arm. He awoke ragged and unwashed, splayed on the straw mattress of an opium den. Mind in a dense fog, his first thought was of his notes, the only record of his groundbreaking revelations. He searched frantically, scrambling through the dingy basement, pleading aloud for help. The few other denizens looked up from their hammocks, offering nothing but drug-soaked eyes and apathetic gazes that soon fell into half-slumber. Before he noticed a robed figure appear behind him, a needle plunged into his arm and the world disappeared once more. Awoken. Again. Each time hazier than the last. His tongue at hollow gaps between his teeth. How long, he wondered. A faint memory returned. The soul chemical, his notes. The verge of a breakthrough. A faraway whisper entered his mind. He fumbled with the stone, sharpening it with shaking hands. In the dim light of the den, amongst the catatonic occupants, he carved his research from memory into the walls. He wrote for hours until his fingers bled, moving to the floor, taking in everything the voice whispered, despite his inability to comprehend. When there was nowhere left to write, he gripped the stone and carved the message into his chest. Stained with blood, he witnessed a miracle appear before him, a magnificent field of lush orange flowers. The whispered voice beckoned to him, urging him to enter the field and discover worlds and dimensions beyond human comprehension. For a moment, Talbot felt the sense of wonder he possessed as a child. The denizens of the opium den awoke to silence, the dry scent of smoke still lingering in the air. Shambling out of their drug-hazed fog, they found the stone floor wet with blood, tiny rivulets coursing through the cracks. As eyes adjusted to the darkened room, the jagged lettering scrawled along its length began to appear. Written over and over without end, there was but one single line. Death is only the beginning. Hello. Welcome. I'm Jax. Jake's on the floor next to me, as always. This little bit was a little bit of a departure from the norm. Because, of course, as you know, I had been reading Dracula by Bram Stoker over the last 19 weeks. That's a fun one. Hopefully, with any luck, that one will actually be done by Halloween. I've only got, I think, 7 or 8 more chapters. We'll see. However, okay, so what this was, real quick, while I've got you, the Blight is the new killer coming up next month in September for Dead by Daylight. And this is a little bit of the lore behind him. I read this. I saw the notification on Twitter from Behavior and Dead by Daylight. And I basically, I went to it, I read it, and I was like, man, sounds good. So I'm sitting there at work, and I read it out loud. And I'm like, you know, I really like this. I like the way it flows. I like the way it sounds. So I got it into my head that I wanted to go ahead and read it and record it when I got home. So that is actually exactly what I did. I'm now sitting here, of course, you know, after 8 p.m. I had to walk Jake, who has somehow become scared of the rest of the house today, and I'm not sure why. There's nothing odd going on. No weird smells, no weird sounds. I have no idea what's wrong with this dog. But you're a good boy, aren't you, Jake? Jake's a wonderful dog. And of course, here I am post shower. Can you tell? My hair was just, it doesn't want to cooperate. It's just dried. It's not, there's nothing in it. It's annoying the piss out of me. Anyways, is this something that you guys think you might want to get more of? Should I go backwards and start narrating some of the lore pieces that are released? Now, I do want to say also that everything I read here today is in no part it belongs to me. It does not belong to me at all. The graphic that was showing during the narration also does not belong to me. These are property of Behavior and the creators of Dead by Daylight. I'm probably saying that wrong. You know what? I'm tired. It's been a long day. We're just going to go with it. But also, I wanted to go ahead and do this one on YouTube instead of SoundCloud because everything on SoundCloud is currently bedtime stories, 5-minute bedtime stories, roughly. But so I wanted to have something done a little bit differently. The Blight is actually currently on the public test build, which you can download and play if you own the game. Yeah. So if you're interested, definitely drop in and check that out. As for if you're curious, I do play Dead by Daylight. I play it off stream, and also I do stream on Twitch Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Thursdays and Fridays are variety days. Right now, it is both days are going to be consumed with Detroit Become Human. Saturday nights are community nights, in which currently we are playing Dead by Daylight. Also up for debate, up for choices are Overwatch and Fall Guys. Anyways, if you're interested in following me on social media, you can find me on Twitter. Yay. In the meantime, you know what to do. I'm going to say, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. If you want more, hit the subscribe button. If you want to know when something comes out, hit the notification bell. That, of course, is completely up to you. It's not necessary. None of that is actually necessary. It's all, if you want to. There's going to be a playlist right there for Dracula, which we have been reading. Chapters 1 through 19 are currently available. And up there in that corner is going to be that always ever-present logo, which is also a subscribe button. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for hanging out, and I'll see you Thursday night.